Today we will show you how we matched her natural hair to her new extensions. We just installed 2 rows of 18-inch in the colors Caramel Brownie and Brownie Batter from Habit Hair X. Here's how we colored it. First, we start off by applying her root color. This is Goldwell Colorance 6N 6A, just to cover up any grays she has. We will then blend it down using our favorite brush from Amazon. This is the Scout Master. It doesn't have those beads at the end of the brush, so it's perfect for blending color. From there, we select a Lowlight and a highlight color. The Lowlight is 5N 5G, and the highlight is 8N 8GI 8WG, both from Redken Shades EQ. You may have seen this Lowlight method used before. The idea is that you separate a weave into 2 sections, a highlight and a lowlight section. So as you can see here, we take a slice of hair and then we do a pretty chunky weave, and we move half of it to the right and half of it to the left. That section that we're putting to the right is going to be the lowlight, and the section that we're putting to the left is going to be the highlight. It gets a little more confusing as we move on to the other quadrants, because you end up sectioning the lowlights and highlights together, but we'll get there in a second. We're going to continue this process all the way up and move on to the sides. So as you can see here, we're going to take a slightly finer weave, just because we're getting closer to her face and we want the color to be a little more broken up. But this time, we're moving the highlighted section to the right instead of the left. And then we'll move the lowlight to the left. See here, the top part is going to the right and the bottom going to the left, highlight to the right, low light to the left. This is because we are going to put our highlighted sections together. So from the back, we had moved the highlighted section to the left, and now that's combining with the highlighted section going to the right. You will see us applying the color as well, and that should make it slightly less confusing. Last section, moving the highlight to the right and the low light to the left. Okay, so here we're starting with the left low light section. We're brushing on that low light of 5N 5G. Normally we would use a bottle, but we figured it would make it a little bit easier for you to tell the difference between the low light and the highlight color. So as you can remember, those highlighted sections together, that one's on the right and the low light was on the left. So we brushed on that color, made sure to saturate it really well, and then we're going to braid that together just so it sits out of the way of anything else and you don't get it mixed up with the highlight. Now starting on the highlight color, remember we took the left section from the back and the right section from the front and combined them together for that highlight. So now we are applying our bottled color of 8GI, 8WG, 8N in Redken Shades EQ. We're going to make sure it's nice and saturated before we start braiding it together. And you'll notice that to the right that there is a braided low light color. That was the combination of the back 2 quadrants. So we would have repeated the process the same as we did on the side. So on that far right quadrant, the highlight would have gone to the right and the low light to the left. So we're braiding together that highlight color. You repeat the same process all across her head. We also did it between her extensions, a slightly modified version. And then for her face framing, we rooted all around her face to get her grays covered. But then instead of adding a low light, we're just putting on our highlight color. This is gonna make it pop around her face, still give her a cute money piece, but it's gonna match the extensions as well. And you can see here that we apply some of the highlight color over the root and drag it down just to make sure it's really blended together and there's no line, completely seamless. Once the entire process is finished, her head is going to look like this. It's super satisfying. And then we just want to double check that everything got covered, so any dry spots we're going to go back over with the color. We'll let that process for 20 minutes. This is it rinsed out. You can already tell it blends so well. We'll get it blown out. This is our favorite round brush. This is the Ibiza boar bristle brush. We will link to both of those brushes in the caption. They're amazing. We then go through and we'll trim up her ends Sometimes with the extensions, you'll notice that there's a few little stragglers and we just want to blend it out really nice. Here is where we're going to get rid of any shelf that she has. You can see there's kind of a line of where her natural hair ends and where her extensions start. We're going to start slide cutting right below that line. This is going to create really natural layers that completely blur the line between her natural hair and her extensions. Part of the reason this is so effective is because it's going to help her extensions move freely as her natural hair would. So sometimes you'll notice if extensions aren't blended right, it'll kind of move as a whole block rather than individual hairs that would be more like your natural. It looks so good once it's cut. We're going to curl it now. We always curl away from the face until we reach her ear, and then we're going to alternate to give it a nice beachy wave. Okay, this is how it turned out. It looks perfect. It matches so well, the color is completely seamless, and it moves just like her normal hair would. Thanks so much for watching. We'll link to everything in the description.